Name is
Four writers were Patrick Seitz, Monica Rial, myself, and Bonnie Klinkenbeard. I'm also a fish. I'm Yoko, the fish girl. She's a trust fund Fosh.
I even saw an alien. I know it's hard to believe, but we're not alone out here.
Like, for all?
It's a huge anthropological discovery. The future will never be the same.
Yeah, so after you left, Planet Girlfriend totally broke up with Anthropolo science stuff. Nobody cares about that boring space business anymore.
I think it's very, very unusual. And, it's not, oh, yeah, now we're going to have the shower scene or the go to the beach scene or episode, So it's completely on its own, unique individual. And I think it's funny. It, speaks to everyone, clearly, from coast to coast and other coasts and other coasts. But it's just a lot of fun, and I think people can get down with just something that's fun.
I think it's popular with fans for a lot of reasons. I think it's obviously the content is such that it's just lighthearted enough that it's kind of always fun. There's always something, you never know when something wacky and zany is going to happen around the next corner. So you're always prepared to laugh. At the same time, there's a depth to it that I think people initially didn't see necessarily with episode 1. That as the series unfolds, there's a lot more to it. The subjects that they get into with space-time and warping and interdimensional travel, in addition to the human element that's there, that you see in episodes like episode 5 with Adele and her grandfather and Space Dandy helping out this young girl, to find her lost grandfather, or even something like episode 10 with Meow and his family, which is for the most part a pretty lighthearted comedic episode.
Yeah.
But you're getting this interaction with a character and seeing where he comes from, seeing his family dynamic, seeing how he grew up. And I think that on the surface that can be kind of dismissed in a way, but there's a lot of substance there. So I think the depth of the show is really what resonates with a lot of fans.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like in the first episode, if you'd only seen the first episode, it could be this very standalone, very straightforward, space cowboy kind of fiction. But, having everyone die at the end of the first episode really opens the door for there's literally anything could happen and does. And that's really fun. And like the part about the drama and all these different kind of emotional elements, like I think drama hits so much harder if these are characters that you have gotten to know with and laughed with. Like if there's already been comedy and then something dramatic happens, you feel so much more connected to it. And so I think in a lot of ways, maybe Dandy never goes like full Arthur Millerian drama, but when it does get, sad and touching and emotional, I think it's more so than it could have been otherwise if it was just all like that, and there's so many different levels to play off each other that, I don't know, you have such a deep world to play in.
And I think Joel brought up a good point with everybody dies at the end of episode 1, so that does completely open the door. And that's another thing that I think is really fun about the series, and I know a lot of fans have really connected to that too. Anything can happen. You can have an episode about zombies. You can have an episode about a high school where everybody sings. You can have an episode about a rock band. You can have an episode about ramen. It literally opens the door to any possibility where you don't have to have this sort of through plot line necessarily. You can let it be a standalone episode and let the characters die at the end of it. You can do literally anything you want in an animated world where there are no limitations. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really exciting thing from a creative standpoint to witness.
Yeah, and while the situations can be really wacky and off the wall and everything, the characters tend to be very grounded in realism. I won't say they're realistic all the time, but they're very relatable. And so...
No, meow, meow.
Yeah, right.
Mew, if you'd said you were coming, I'd have had more food. But since you didn't, I'm afraid I don't. I'm so sorry.
Your name is Mew? Like, for real?
No, my full name is Mew Mew Mew. Mew is just a nickname.
Thank you so much for putting up with my son. I'm Mew's mother. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Nathaniel Harrison, and I was the senior mixing engineer for Space Dandy. What a mixing engineer, the general role or responsibility of that engineer is they take everything once it's been recorded, they take all the music, all the sound effects, all the different components with the dialogue, and they merge all of those elements together to create what you hear as the final mix, all the audio put together. So, and my role for Space Dandy was to work in conjunction with Zach and Joel as it was being recorded to make sure everything was mixed on time and finished, to get everything reviewed, and then we were sending it off to Cartoon Network on a weekly basis to make sure we had our air dates. What makes Space Dandy great, what makes it interesting, what makes it worth watching is I described it to Zach about a couple episodes in, and I was like, I started really appreciating it, and this is a really cool show. You step into it as the challenge, not knowing what it is. Then you start seeing the show as it progresses and it develops. And you know, it starts off as kind of this campy, somewhat superficial, you know, I've heard of it described as cowboy space adventure, things like that. And you're kind of like, yeah, you see those elements to it. And then, you know, Space Dandy appears to be a very superficial character. But then you start getting in, and by episode 5, you have the episode with the little girl alien, and he's helping her find her grandfather and all of these things. And you realize, wait a minute, there's actually, he actually cares. He just doesn't want people to know he cares. Well, why is that? And you start seeing these different perspectives, you know, and it makes you start seeing a depth that you didn't realize was there. And I think then you start what appear to be standalone episodes. Everything appears to be completely isolated by itself. Towards the end of the series, you start realizing that actually everything was connected the entire time throughout the whole series. It's all threaded together, which then makes you want to go back and rewatch it. And then by that point, you've already connected with these characters in the depth because they've touched on in some of these episodes, even through the comedy, these elements of seriousness, these elements of their past. And it makes you kind of want to watch it again for the fact of, well, how are these characters relaying? Are they relaying this seriousness, this maturity anywhere else? And you start seeing that kind of somewhat just hinted at, these little ripples of maturity throughout the show when you thought it was just a superficial comedy. You know, and then there's still the comedy of it, which is really funny, you know. And so I think on every aspect, it touches. The art style is different. Everything is different. If I had to sum it up in any one way, shape, or form, I told Zach, it's like every episode is like Christmas. You open it up, you have no idea what you're going to get, and then it all somehow pulls together and it becomes this great memory and this great experience of, like, you know.
He'll admit it or not. Or he would have gotten rid of him. He just would have gotten in the car and zoomed off at some point and left him at Bowie's. He likes him, and he likes companionship, and he Meow's kind of a freeloader. He's growing on him, but meh. QT he's had for a while. It's just, you know, his little buddy. It's his little guy. And he's helpful. Keeps things clean. Now he just puts up with stupid body pillow kissing. I love it, because Joel is going to eat fish, octopus pop. I'm going to get that word out. Octopus popsicle. That's going to be a vocal warm-up now. Octopus popsicle.
I am Allison Victorin, and I play QT on Space Dandy. And QT is a robot, an old robot that looks like a vacuum. And he's very cute. Space Dandy is all about we're finding aliens so that we can get money to eat. And why QT needs to eat, I have no idea, because he's a robot. So why is he eating? But so we all go on all these crazy adventures trying to find aliens that have never been found before, and then we want to take him back, make him more fluid with my voice instead of so robot-y. So I thought that was neat about QT, that he does have emotion, and he does have feelings, and he wants a girlfriend too, which was really fun.
Yeah, QT was actually really fun. We referenced, I believe it was episode 1, episode 1, and I don't remember if we got 2 after that, but it was certainly episode 1, and we listened to the opening sequence, and it was Neil Malley and myself, one of the other mixers here, and we heard very early on with Zach listening to it that they were definitely doing some kind of an auto-tune pitching to the voice, and we just kind of chuckled, and we thought, wow, it's a very simple technique, but it's very creative, and it's kind of cool, and it works for this particular character. And so we just kind of modeled it in that regard after. We just used a piece of software that's used for singing and vocals for auto-tuning pitch, only we basically adjusted it to where it was over-correcting. And so it's kind of, in essence, it was broken, but it worked because it creates the effect that you hear. Then we just ran some simple other little effects to kind of make it a little bit more robotic sounding, but not by much. We really wanted QT to sound more human or organic almost, with that little bit of pitching in there to give it that robotic feel. But the character itself is so kind of, I wouldn't say QT feels emotions as much, sort of kind of, they touch on that in 13, but it's like, but we wanted that human element there, that connection, that connectability would be what I would say.
I haven't seen anything, not even a bug.
Come on, there's gotta be some light. I just downloaded this free unrecorded alien app and it says there's activity here.
Never trust a free app, Cat.
Hold on! Wait! Oh my gosh! There are pieces of old spaceships all over the place! Look, what else could this be?
With the three, you got Space Dandy, you got Meow, and you have QT on the Aloha Oi. And their relationships are very important to keep that circle going. QT is a straight man. And that's what we need because we have two crazy, wacky-do characters. Sometimes he'll get a joke in, but he's the straight man. Then you've got two guys that are wacky in their own ways. You know, Dandy is he's in the clouds. Nobody knows where he is, but he's very funny in that way. His priorities are boobies, which he has in common with Meow, because Meow's into the ladies as well. But he is in a totally different world than Dandy is. So together, they're all in this one world. You got straight man, you got two crazies, and that pull them back together, the straight man does. And so that's kind of how they work in that. You know, there's the Dandy is the ruler, and you've got Meow, and then QT underneath them. But they're not willingly underneath, I would say. QT probably is more willing. But Meow is along for the ride. He has to be there.
Are we here to chat up the ladies? Because I thought we were hunting rare aliens.
Don't be snarky. For me, flirting is like breathing. It's a process as natural as it is necessary. You feeling me?
Why must living beings always indulge in what can only be considered wasteful expenditures of energy?
My favorite parts of Dandy's personality, is that he has so many different parts. He's a really, really rounded character. He's smarter than you think, which comes out later in the episodes. You find out that he is smarter than you'd think. But he's zen. He's absolute zen. And you think of people like the Dude and these Zen masters who are just they go with the flow, and that's all he does. And I love that about him. It's just he takes the world as it kind of comes, and he just kind of deals with it. He's not worried about future or past or any other stupid crap. He just wants to make money and go to boobies. And I understand that attempt at just, you know, at going with the flow, and you get that as his main personality. But then the more as you go throughout the show, you get to see all these different sides of him, and each episode shows you a different side. And there's the side that cares about his friends and really does, you know, worry about their well-being. And then there's episodes where you see they hurt his feelings, and so he's gonna see you later. I'm gone, stupid friends. And then you see his sensitive side, and that he's good with kids. Like, that was really a cool thing to do. And so I got to use an entire actor's palette with him. Most characters, you know, you're like 4 or 5 motivations for them, and you know you're super objective. But with him, it changed every week, and I got a really full character out of him. That was really cool, because you don't always get that. And I got to use every different part of my voice. Usually you have a reference track when you go in to do any character. And you know, the like 3 or 4 things that, like, this is, you know, here are 3 lines that you do that are quintessentially that character. And with Dandy, we didn't have one of those. I mean, I had my own kind of lead in. I would just kind of go, boobies, booty, booty, boobies. Okay, there he is. And then I could get to his baseline, the voice that he uses with ladies, but like he's so all over the place, and I got to utilize all parts of my voice and all of my emotions that I got to. That's what I like about him. He's never-ending Dandy, baby. Now, and I get to say baby all the time. I say baby all the time now. It's weird, but he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Like, he's got his tendencies, but and his
fun to hang out and talk to. If I see him in the hallways, I automatically go, well, there went 30 minutes, unless he's really got to be somewhere, because I'm just going to stop and start talking to the guy. But I really think, you know, just even that aside, just the personal appreciation I have for him as a person aside, looking at what he did with this character is he really did something special. I think one, his natural voice where it sits is just right for Dandy. You look at the character, the art, the way it's styled, and he fits that. Like a lot of actors, he has that ability to have such a range and do a lot of vocals. But with Dandy's voice, when he has those ranges and he goes into these different things that he does, it fits the animation of the characters. And it fits the different Dandys you see. It fits the different moments that Dandy needs to have. And I think I'm trying to remember the episode. I want to say it's episode 18. It's a fishing episode of sorts. And I just find it really interesting that he's walking around with the little girl who he doesn't realize because she's wearing this big helmet. And at the end of the episode, he just goes, "Oh, she has no face." And it's like, or that wasn't her face, or something like that, whatever. That's what he said. She doesn't have that wasn't her face the whole time. And it's just the way he does these type of, Dandy just kind of rolls with the flow of the punches, and he kind of doesn't really get fazed by events or things and stuff. And that's always something that's there. And Ian really tags that part of Dandy, I think, so well. And so natural, it's more of a natural thing. And anytime I think you can get an actor doing something that's natural to what they feel or can connect with, that naturalness really transfers into believability. Even more so than if they're giving you the best performance of their life. If it's just a natural thing that's in them, it's like, man, that translates so well.
One of my favorite things about playing Dandy is because he's a guy who just takes things as it happens and just deals with life on the fly. That was my motivation as an actor going in. I just got to sit down and say, like, okay, what's happening this week? Oh, I'm gonna hunt that alien. That's weird. All right. And just kind of go with it. And I didn't have to go in with preconceived anger or like, oh, where is he from last week? There's only two, maybe 3 episodes where I really had to pull in what just happened in the last episode. But past that, it was just go, experience it. If you feel like it's weird, say it's weird, because he's probably going to say, yeah, it's kind of weird. I'd like to pretend like I'm not a lot like Dandy, but there's a lot of Dandy in me. And the more I voiced him and the more I watch it, that more he's making his place in my brain. He's going to take over at some point. It's like when Onslaught is in Professor Xavier's head, the evil from Magneto is in there, and then at some point he's just going to take over. And I'm just going to kick over a chair and just start screaming booty and boobies and leave and go to a Twin Peaks. It's going to happen.
Hey, well, hello there, beautiful. What a delicious surprise. This must be my lucky day. So, lovely, what is your name?
What?
Yes, I'm speechless too. Destiny's in the air. I can practically hear Beethoven's Sixth playing just for us.
I just adore Dandy, how Ian did Dandy. Like, he's sexy and idiotic at the same time. Like, you want to hug him and then hit him too. I don't know how that happens, but he just did a phenomenal job. Like, I could just listen to that voice over and over and over again. And then Joel with Meow, oh my gosh. Like, Meow's body, the way they drew him is so odd. Like, is it a cat? I don't know, but the way Joel did it, it's just, he did a phenomenal job. I think all of the actors did the best ever. I thought the show was amazing. So I was very, very happy to be a part of it.
Now, where's the closest movies?
There's one in Galaxy, Mexico, District 3.
Then charge the engines. 200% full speed ahead.
It will take us at least 2 hours and 40 minutes to get there. So, not happening.
Damn it. We've got no other options left. We gotta warp.
I think the ship is freaking awesome. And I think the lady with the doors, I love the doors. I love it all. And I like the cockpit part where they can see out and everything. I just love it. I would like to have one of my own in my backyard, maybe.
Dandy's ship, the Aloha Oi, it actually kind of looks like his foot. His boot. It's got that little flare up at the top. It's this cool kind of like relaxing bachelor kahuna pad. And he has the little Aloha, which will go around. It's a smaller vehicle that is within the larger vehicle that goes out, and which then can become Hawaii Yankee when it's in its more mech human form. So he's able to use it. It's very good, transport the whole crew and then use the little Aloha to go around and get the job done. But it's also when you see it and it's got the big room with the coconut trees and in his closet with a couch in it that is his room. It's like some couch, posters. I think there's a hammock that I don't remember him using. I think he may have used it once. He just sleeps on the couch. It's because he's like, I don't care. He just doesn't care. And God, I love playing characters who don't care. It's just every episode had such different aliens. What is my favorite alien? I cannot figure up a specific. I did love Adaly. Like the episode with Adaly, the Jintuan, was one of my favorites, and it was a really heartwarming. It was the first episode where we really gave Dandy heart, and so I think because of that, I blame her for him getting heart in that episode, and she was so well written and voice act. Like the acting for it was amazing, and all of that together emotionally put me in a spot that then I as I'm reading Dandy, it hopefully came across. But that one still, like I watched that and I get a little right here. So I may say Adaly, but there were some really weird ones that I really love. So there's the come on, sucker. Like those things are great little gems, and then there's pulsating, weird-bodied ones from certain. There are those that you love because they're so weird, and then there are those who really get your heart. So yeah, they're all types in Dandy.
They were all weird. The aliens were very odd. They all looked different. Some were tall, some were short, some were just like heads. They were cool.
My favorite alien, I mean, I would lean towards the booby monster because that's Trina Nishimura, and it makes me laugh that would be her. But I really, you know what? Honestly, I like all of the musical high school one. Oh my God. Those are killer. I love all of those, and they're different because there's so many different aliens in one zone, and they all have their different personalities, and it's told through song. It's amazing. I was so jealous of Patrick for getting that script because Brina took care of the singing portion of it, so he just had to write the funny in between, which meant he had to write like half an episode. It's like, yeah, that would have been amazing to only write half an episode.
I've never heard of an alien like that before.
No one has. Cool, right, baby? That's why it's the discovery of the century.
Rejected.
I love Space Dandy fans. They're like some of the smartest anime fans I've talked to. It's amazing to like what you wouldn't expect from a comedy. But like when I've been able to sit down with a guy who's like, oh yeah, no, I'm getting my master's in physics, and so it's really interesting in this episode, blah 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 blah, and kind of the interdimension. Send me a link to the Reddit and say, oh man, you got to go through. We got the coolest fan theories here, and there's a timeline, and so I started reading those, and the love for Dandy has just been overwhelming, and it's been really great. But I love Dandy cosplayers because first of all, they have good taste. Being a Dandy cosplayer, you have good taste. But B, they're watching these kids who, sometimes, and I can say this as a fairly shy person, like, you live your life and you shy or social anxiety, but then they put on that pompadour and the jacket and I even have the tag. And you put that on, you just kind of walk around calling everybody baby and pointing at everybody. And I had a guy tell me, he was like, it's amazing. Like dressing up as Dandy, you just kind of walk through the halls going, hey, baby, booty, boobies, hey. And I love that. And I've seen tons of like really creative ones, like very specific references, like, oh no, this is Honey, this is Space Race Honey. Or this is Dandy with the paper bag over his head from the library episode. Or this is Dandy in this outfit, or Lady Dandy, and oh God, once the alternate dimensions came out, a bunch of those have come out. I've seen zombie Dandies. I've seen tons of meows, and I've seen some really cool ideas on QT. I've seen humanized QTs, which are cool. and they got the little vacuum hands. And then sometimes I've seen like what must have been luggage or something that they made in a little QT that they kind of walk around, push around. Oh, pictures. And the meows always look bored and are on their phone, and the dandies are always, yeah, baby. And I love hearing people do their dandy. Dandy voice is based on that voice that, the way I like to describe it is, guys, I'm just gonna look at the cameraman, because this makes it easy. You know that voice you use with your lady when you're being funny and sexy, but you're not actually being sexy, you're just kind of funny, you're like, oh, hey, baby, let's watch some Doctor Who and I'll put on my Batman undies. That thing, that's where Dandy comes from. He's that voice. And so I've had that kind of, that part of Dandy, because as I said, he does that when he's around ladies or talking about ladies. But I've had that voice in me for years. And so to hear other people kind of walking around and being like, it's all about the booty, baby. And especially if it's like, I ran into like a 14-year-old whose voice was still cracking. And man, he was like, hey, baby. And I was like, I love you. You're awesome. He's like, yeah, booty. I'm like, you shouldn't be watching this. But thank you. Yes, booty.
Thanks for watching the show. It's been great. I mean, just the feedback I've heard from fans and people when I'm out there and running it, people who've watched the show and talking to you guys. It's been cool to hear the feedback. This one was a really special experience in particular because I was getting feedback from some of you as it was happening. And that was really neat. And then to be able to know some of you guys, to mix an episode and to say, hey, wait till this one airs. It's on this date. This is the air date. I can't tell you about it, but wait for it. You're going to enjoy it. And then to see your reactions in the backside from just my own personal work experience, that was an incredible experience, very satisfying to be a part of that, to be able to share that with you guys. And so this was kind of one of those very rare career shows that comes along where it really sticks out at you, and it becomes something really special for all the right reasons. And so I'm glad we had a chance to experience that together, and have fingers crossed that we have a couple more like that before it's all said and done. So thanks so much.
Well, I guess thank you, fans. Everybody's saying it, but I mean it the most. Way the most. So thank you guys, everybody who's watched it and been supportive. Really, really appreciate you. If you're watching this and you're loving everything that everybody had to say, we love you even more. So thank you so much for just making Dandy everything that it could be. It really was a group effort, and that includes you guys. So thank you.
I hope that you guys enjoyed Space Dandy half as much as I enjoyed making it, because you could only enjoy it half as much. I had more fun than I ever have. And I plan on rewatching for years to come. Do it with me.
Yeah, thanks a lot for going on this ride with us, this voyage through space, this Dandy space adventure. Hopefully one day there's more to do. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be neat?
That would be really neat. But until that day ever comes, if it ever comes, we'll just keep rewatching the episodes over and over again.
Yep.
Thanks.